Are we rolling? Yes, we are. Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back. I just wanted to start off, I guess, by saying my hair looks kind of junky today, but that's fine. It's a little dirty, but I will wash it tomorrow because I have work tomorrow. And if I wash it today and then go to work tomorrow, then I just end up with dirty hair all over again. So we're looking shabby today. That's not what I wanted to say. What I wanted to say was the first two videos that I posted, look, grand scheme of things, they're, pretty minuscule. They're only on triple digit views. But I've still gotten a number of comments from other people, and they were surprisingly quite positive, quite supportive. So I do appreciate all of that. It was very flattering, really, to see sort of not an immediate response, but a very quick response from a number of people. And I kind of wanted to segue that into the first main topic, or a very small, tiny subtopic of I reckon I'll have to put these videos on a schedule for multiple reasons. I don't want to just run out of video ideas super quickly. I don't want to just pump out 5 different videos in 5 or 6 days, and then now I'm scrambling to think of the next video, and then the next video I didn't think about it well enough, and now it's a shit video. And B, I have a real problem with kind of only doing things when I feel like it, right? And some things, that's all well and good, like hobbies. Of course, you should stay dedicated to a hobby, but a hobby, if you do or don't feel like it, that's fine. But I'm not saying that it breaches into like hygiene, right? I shower every fucking day. Some days I shower twice if I feel like it, But for something like this, especially YouTube, I feel like if I if I make it a habit to only make videos when I feel like it. Hold on one second. Shit. Sorry, had to pause and rework something. If I only make videos whenever it is that I feel like it, it's going to get to a point where I just never feel like making them, right? And then it's all going to die out. Whereas if I can enforce some sort of routine on myself, like a weekly upload schedule, or I need to have a video done by Monday next week or whatever, then I feel like it would introduce some sort of order to my life. It would sort of force me into a level of responsibility, And I think that would be developmentally good for me because a lot of things aren't really held to massive account for me. Like, if like there's no immediate consequences if I don't upload, but I do want to care about it, right? If you choose not to shower, you're gonna fucking stink. Your hygiene's gonna go downhill. If you don't do your laundry frequently enough, you're gonna have a massive pile of clothes in the corner and you're gonna run out. That sort of thing. Of where it is a responsible act to do so, but there's still feedback. There's still consequences for doing that. I feel like I've spoken on this for too long, See, already getting sidetracked, But basically, I'm thinking of sort of trying to do them as videos as a weekly thing, both A, so I don't run out of video ideas, and B, so that I can enforce this sort of schedule on myself and have a better structure about making these, so it can become a long-term hobby or a long-term commitment rather than just shitting stuff out onto the internet whenever the hell I feel like it, because I see other people doing that, like on Instagram or whatever, and I really don't like it. Not that I'm saying people should or shouldn't post what they want, but it's just like you see some people and they post like, 3-4 things in a day, and you're like, dude, like what else do you do, So that's all that out of the way. I've got my little journal thing here, right? I've got my notes app on my phone, right? Write down video ideas. And then I elaborate on the video idea in the journal to try and, get that little bit of structure going on. The topic for today is mildly insulting Deftones shirt experience and the alternative superiority complex. Big words, I know. But the inspiration for all this and the subsequent tangent I'm about to go on comes from real personal experience. So I was out in the city probably 2 months ago, I want to say. It was late last year, probably. Yeah, late last year, 2025. And I was walking around. I'd done what I normally do on my days off. I'd taken the train into Sydney, and I'd gone to the record shops. You know, Red Eye Records and Utopia Records, best record shops in the world. Totally unbiased. um, and I'd gone to the record shops, and I'd bought a couple CDs or maybe a shirt or something. And I was wearing a Deftones shirt. You know, it had the cover art to their self-titled album on it, the one with the skull and the roses. Right, I was walking around and I was feeling really cool in my Deftones shirt. I should have worn it for this video. Whatever. Whatever. We're dealing with Tool today. Hold on. Let me just do a real quick fit check. Look at that. Ooh, look at that. Isn't that fucking sick? Dude, I love Tool. Tool is so cool. Okay. Um. Anyway, so I'm walking around in my Deftones shirt and I'm feeling really cool. And again, to any of my Sydney viewers, if I have any, you know, I got comments from people on the last two videos saying, "Oh, I'm from France," and "Oh, I'm from Spain." Like, motherfucker. Like, bonjour and all that. You feel me? Bonjour, my French viewer. Keep it up, if you feel me. Anyway, so to any of my Sydney siders, you might know that there's that. I forget the name of it. I think it's called Wasteland or something. It's this thrift shop right outside the town hall train station, next to the bank. I think it's a Commonwealth Bank. There's a Woolworths, a Commonwealth Bank, and then this thrift shop. And I've been in there a couple times. I found a few cool jackets in there, and I was like, you know what, fuck it. I've been out for like 2 hours. You know, I may as well just spend the last 10, 15 minutes just wandering around. Maybe get some food, look in the thrift store for a bit. And I walk in, and I see this dude and two girls. They would have all been around my age, you know, probably early 20s, right? And I look at him, and then I look down at his shirt, and he's wearing a Deftones shirt. It wasn't my exact shirt. It was, I'm sure you've seen it if you like Deftones. It's the shirt with the black cat's face. Like the whole shirt is black. It says Deftones in bold text, and then yeah, just like a cat's face. And I look down at his shirt and I look up it and I smile. I'm like, yeah, man, Deftones or whatever. Or like, I don't know. I didn't say anything. I thought, yeah, man. But look, I smile and I nod because I'm assuming, hey, I'm wearing Deftones. You're wearing Deftones. You know, we're in the same subculture. We're in the same sort of categories, right? And I look him in the eye and he's like, and he like, ugh, like there was a disgust in his eyes that you could have probably only seen in like apartheid South Africa, right? There was just this visceral look in his eyes of like, oh, you know, of like, bitch. And like, I wasn't looking shabby like I was now. My hair was clean. I was walking around. I felt good. And it's like, you motherfucker. This is why people say that Gen Z sucks. This is why people say that our generation is incompetent and we're antisocial because you try to make some sort of effort to connect with people and they look at you as if you're some mangy street dog. Like, god fucking damn, it's not that deep, right? It's a fucking Deftones shirt and I thought maybe we could smile at each other and get on with our fucking day. And instead, I don't even know. I'm projecting here maybe, but your ego's too fucking hurt to just smile at someone else wearing the same band. Like, what's that about? What is that actually about? To this day, it fucks me up because it's like, who do you think you are, right? That like, it just baffles me. It honestly baffles me, and like, it kind of pissed me off that to where I walked into the thrift shop because they were walking out, I was walking in. I walked in and I stood in there for like 2 minutes. I was like, I don't even want to fucking be in here, man. I went to Woolies and I got some food and I just fucking went home. Because I mean, I already finished my business in the city anyway. But it was like, sorry, pardon me. I don't know, it just fucked me up for a bit of like, of all the things of all the possible ways you could have reacted to me smiling at you, and you pick this fucking disgust I don't know. It just kind of fucks with my head. And it kind of leads me into this subsequent theory or thought process that I've seen a lot of people echo on the internet. I don't really dig the internet. I don't really like internet discourse all that much because there are a lot of stupid people on the internet. Let's just be real. Just keep that between you and me. Um, of where, I think the internet has the potential to be good, but when you have that many people who are allowed to say practically whatever they want to a potentially massive audience, that's where it really starts to become a little bit dangerous, a little bit risky, because people can say the dumbest shit of all time, and if there are enough idiots who see it and agree with it, it can provide the illusion that it's actually credible, you know? But anyway, that's a whole other side tangent. I've seen this sentiment echoed on the internet from other people sitting there saying, you know, uh, alternative individuals or people who align themselves with the alternative community seem to have a bit of a superiority complex, and I would agree to some degree. I wouldn't wholeheartedly agree with it because you can't make that ginormous judgment on everyone like that. You can't sit there and say, oh, everyone in this community is this and blah 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 blah. It's just not true. But like, I'm sure you've seen it. There are always these TikToks, there are always these Instagram videos of like, someone with eyeliner and heaps of black clothing on being like, POV, you're not basic anymore. POV, the basic white girls don't accept you. And it's like, girl, be for real, okay? You're being just as judgmental. Like, this, I don't know. Like, I would consider myself fairly alternative. I don't dress super alternative. I don't wear the fucking the cat beanie. I don't have any. I have a tattoo, right? I've got a tattoo, right? I mean, anyone can have a tattoo. You don't need to be alternative to have a tattoo. But I have one body modification, so that kind of gets me in. I don't, I dress. I mean, I wear a lot of metal shirts, right? I love my metal. I love my music. I love all of it. Um, and I would say that, politically, I kind of lean a bit more lefty, So like, I do agree with, and I like a lot of alternative things. I hang out in a couple alternative spaces, I guess you could say. You know, I keep bringing up Sydney references. If you don't know Sydney, I'm sorry if this makes no sense to you, but there's a place in Sydney called Newtown. It's very heavily LGBTQ, very heavily alternative. Lots of people wearing real funky clothes, real, it's a pretty cool place. I hang out there a lot. I like going there on my nights out with my mates, or during the day. They got, again, I always bring up the record shops. They've got like 5 or 6 incredible record shops out there, right? That's a place that I like to hang out with because you do find some just lovely people. You find the weirdest motherfuckers that have just the craziest life stories, right? I really do resonate with and enjoy engaging with alternative spaces. But for every 4 lovely people you meet that will tell you to have a nice day, and they'll say, oh, I really like your shirt, or, there's this really cool shop where you can find secondhand, blah, blah, blah. There's probably like 1 or 2 people that will, give you that look. I had it happen again. Last time I was in Newtown, I had a great day. I walked around. I found some fucking Doors CDs. I found a Jeff Buckley CD. I can't tell you how much I fuck with Jeff Buckley, right? I found a Jeff Buckley CD. I found this amazing, like green, like, it was like one of those health food grocery stores, and they had like handmade sandwiches. I bought one. I talked with the guy who owned it. I was like, man, this is the best fucking sandwich I've ever had. I wasn't swearing at him, but I was like, this is the best sandwich I've ever had. And like, yeah, my mate makes them every morning out of just leftover ingredients. And had a great chat. But there was this guy and his friends, of course. He was in an Affliction t-shirt, right? He was the spitting image of me, really. He looked very similar hair, similar kind of very thin, weedy physique, and he was in this like dumbass Affliction shirt. I can't look at Affliction the same after this guy. And I saw him in like 2 different record shops, If I was schizophrenic, I would have believed he was following me, but he wasn't. He was just hanging out with his mates. And like I kept seeing him, and like I'd make eye contact because I was trying to be polite. I remember he was in my way. Sorry, someone's, oh whatever. It's just Depop. I thought someone was calling me for a second. Um, Depop Warrior, hell yeah, baby. Um, I remember there was one record shop I was in, and he was in my way. He was like literally blocking the exit. I was like, "Oh, sorry, mate. Could you just hop out of the way?" And he didn't even say anything. He just like scoots out of my way, like motherfucker. Like you, someone could put us in a police lineup and they wouldn't fucking tell us apart. And you're gonna act like this to me? Like I don't know. Maybe he has social anxiety. I don't know. But like I don't I don't know. I've been socially anxious, right? I used to be super socially anxious, and then my social skills grew, right? I don't know. Maybe I am really a truly an asshole, and I'm just getting mad at socially anxious people, and I'm misinterpreting it all. Maybe I don't know, but just I kept seeing this dude in the affliction shop. I saw him in two record shops, and then I saw him walking past when I was eating my fucking sandwich at the grocery shop, and he just kept like side eyeing me. He just kept hitting me with those. I'm like, dude, what do you want? I'm just trying to buy some CDs, right? I'm just trying to fucking listen to some Jeff Buckley and some Doors and eat a fucking pulled pork sandwich that was amazing and like $6, but still, it's worth it. I think no, it might have been a lot more than that. I don't remember the price of the sandwich, but it was pulled pork and it was incredible, you know. And he just kept side eyeing me, and it's like it's just that there's that very mild hostility that is so antithetical to what alternative communities base themselves on. Alternative communities, by the name, are alternative to the norm, right? People who don't feel accepted in the norm. This is why it's why I agree with it and fuck with it so much, because often I don't really fit in. Often I don't really agree with or mesh very well with the the common standards of doing things, or the way people present themselves. You know, I've yeah I've always had a bit of a you know I was never truly parallel, right, with the way everyone else kind of operated and functioned when I was growing up, and even to this day, right. I've gotten better at it, right. I've again my social skills have grown. I've realized that you don't need to fit in, right? Fitting in is kind of more of a comfort rather than a requirement, I feel. And that's why again, I've gravitated so much to these alternative spaces, these alternative communities, right? And I've moved to these alternative kinds of music because again, it all resonates. It all cycles. You feel like you belong. But these kinds of individuals that develop these superiority complexes and they think, oh, I'm more alternative than you. I'm more blah, 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 blah. You know, I hate basic people, right? I hate the phrase basic people because when you call someone basic, what you really mean is you haven't taken the time to get to know them. That's genuinely all it is. And I know I sound really aggressive and really passionate right now, but again, this stuff's been bubbling around my head for months. This shit happened to me months ago, and I'm only kind of externalizing it now, you know? And these kinds of individuals really upset me because, again, not the whole point, but the significant a significant reason as to why people join alternative communities is because they don't feel that level of acceptance anywhere else, right? And again, 4 out of 5 or 4 out of 6 will be lovely people, and they'll tell you that they like your outfit and they fuck with your jewelry and they think your paintings are really groovy, man. But then there's the one or two that will give you side eye because they don't think you're alternative enough, because they don't think that you're, true or genuine enough, or blah blah blah, or you're wearing an outfit and they feel upset about it, they feel insecure, you know, and it fucks with me so much because again, you can't expect everyone to behave the same. You can't expect everyone to be nice, right? It's like the church. You go to the church and you see all the old ladies that are there because they believe in the good of the world and the good of Jesus. And then there are those two motherfuckers that sit there and berate people and say, "Oh, you're all sinners, but I'm pure." And then it turns out, a year or so later, they get caught blowing a dude, and you're like, "Wow, aren't you a fucking hypocrite?" Right? That kind of went weird, but you know what I mean, right? Like there are places that are built on kindness or places that are built on social cohesion. And there's always going to be people that are a part of it that hijack it for their own ego, for their own self-perception, their own self-worth, you know? It really fucks with my head a little bit. And it's one of those things where there's probably never going to be a real solution because, again, you can't police people's behavior to any significant degree. You can tell people don't murder people, don't rape people, don't fucking burn houses down, right? That one's pretty easy. But to tell someone don't give side eye to random people in sandwich shops because you don't like their outfit, that's a whole different that's a whole different story. You know, you can't avoid side eye. I side eye people sometimes. I see people arguing in public. I'm like, girl, take that inside. I don't want to hear about all that, you know? Sorry, respectfully, you know? Yeah, you'll never stop bad people or mean or rude people from existing because they've existed since the dawn of time, right? And often these kinds of people don't really see anything wrong with their behavior, right? So it's not like I'm sitting there going, oh, he's intentionally antagonizing me. He tried to give me side eye because he wanted to hurt my feelings. No, maybe he's just kind of judgmental and he's going on with his life and I'm going on with mine. I don't know. I don't know the full story, you know? I had one more note in my little journal and I forget what it is. No, actually, I kind of covered it all. I wrote difficulty engaging with alternative people. It's true. Some of these people, it feels like you're spinning the wheel of fortune. And again, most of the time it's just, oh, I like your outfit. But then there's the little black triangle that's like, fuck you, man. You know, yeah, just the instantaneous judgment, right? And it's always going to be upsetting to me because like you see some people in the street and you see them, you see their outfit and they're clearly, you know, they've got some groovy shit going on. You know, they've got like bright red hair, or they're wearing like a Linkin Park shirt, and they've got like a fucking raccoon tail tied to their jeans. I don't know, just cool shit you wouldn't ordinarily see. And you make eye contact with these people, and they're just like, again, is it fear? Is it judgment? I don't know, man. But it's like some people you say, you're like, I reckon we could be good friends. But there's just there's some translation, there's some transmission of message that just isn't quite occurring, you know, and it troubles me a bit, you know, it troubles me a little. Um, and I feel like as well, maybe the whole issue is caused by people who only care for alternative communities on the aesthetic level. And I blame TikTok for that. You see a lot of people and they put on the eyeliner or they put on the Deftones shirt because it's so stereotypical. They put on the eyeliner, the Deftones shirt, they get like a nose ring or something, and then all of a sudden they're posing, they're doing all the dumb fucking TikToks, and they're making videos to Cherry Waves and Change in the House of Flies or My Own Summer. I could name it all, right? I could name it all. And they're doing it purely because they think it looks cool. And then they're bringing this, again, this level of judgment with them that ordinarily wouldn't really fly. They ordinarily wouldn't really belong. But there's no way to, you know, choose who gets in or out. People just kind of induct themselves in. And I don't know, maybe I'm just being a bit of a gatekeeping asshole, but maybe it's just, it kind of comes down to, I miss, or I wish that it kind of went back to when, you know, alternative spaces and alternative communities were more about social acceptance, especially of people who felt outcast, right? Because now you've got people who felt outcast in the sort of, in, I guess, the mainstream, you could call it, right? And people who moved to the alternative space, but now they find that it's filled with just as much judgment. And now they're being judged not because they're too weird, but because they're not weird enough, you know? And that's kind of the worst bit. There are some people that are out here policing who's alternative and who's not alternative enough. And, oh, you're a poser just because, oh, you wore a Limp Bizkit shirt once. That's not really, blah, 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 blah. You know, oh, you just wear eyeliner and blah, 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 blah. It's like, God damn, man. Like, holy fuck. Do you really need to go the whole 9 yards to be considered alternative? To me, the first requirement for it, the first requirement for engaging with, I've said the word alternative a million times, but the first rule for engagement with alternative people is, casting away that judgment, because you don't know where some of these people have been, you don't know what they've experienced. And it's only when you sit down and talk to a lot of these people you realize this is a genuine motherfucker. These people are so real, and they've been through so much, and they're still choosing to be kind and let you into their kind of spaces. So I don't know. It's just upsetting, man. Um, I think that's kind of all I have to say. Good God, 25 minutes. um, I hope you enjoyed my little rant, my little ramble. If you consider yourself alternative, I'd love to know what you think. I probably should have said that at the beginning of the video. I don't know how many people make it to the end. So sorry, that was a bit rude of me. But yeah, if you consider yourself alternative, or if you have anything to say, I'd love to know what your perspective on this is, and if you think I'm being too harsh, if you think I'm not being harsh enough, that'd be an interesting thing to find out. I hope you're all doing well. Stay safe. Much love. you know. Yeah, I'll talk to you soon, I guess.